following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the HighLowSports podcast. We appreciate y'all for joining us here on this Wednesday evening, or if it is one of your favorite places to catch podcasts later in the week, it is always a pleasure to hang out and talk about what's going on in the wide world of sports with you all. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelcey. And you know what, Kelcey, it is draft night again, but unlike the last draft night we had, we're not going to be sticking around for 4 hours. This one, we're just kind of overlapping. We won't be diving too much into tonight's draft.
Yeah, no, this one, honestly, after the first 14 picks, you're probably not going to recognize any names until 27 or so. Until, maybe late in the second round, you might see a last name of James pop up. You never know. But, yeah, this one is not going to be too intense. I'm not trying to do a 4-hour marathon again after I just got off a plane. That was not the ideal situation last time.
Absolutely not. We won't be doing that as well. But the good news is people who are tuning in won't have to listen to just our voices this whole time. Is we do got a guest with us, a person we've known for quite a while too. We have TJ McKinley join us. TJ, we've known you for a while. Pleasure to have you come in here and talk a little bit about sports with us today.
Thank y'all for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely a pleasure. And we're gonna go and jump right into it. We won't dance around too much. We'll go and start with, we recently had a championship hoisted up in the association. Celtics dominant playoff run, basically 16-3 or something like that, or whatever it was. Absolutely ridiculous playoff run. Won 80 games. What are your thoughts on the Celtics taking home banner number 18?
I'll go. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think pretty much when the playoffs started, everybody expected it. The only problem everybody was expecting was the contract situation. As Jaylen Brown just got a massive extension, and now Jason Tatum won one. But when it comes to playoff success and winning their 18th banner, I think pretty much everybody seen it coming. They won 65, 66 regular season games. So pretty much what team went over 60 plus wins, unless you the Golden State Warriors, you really was expecting them to win. So yeah, I expected it. I don't think I can see them repeating next year, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think TJ hit the nail on the head there. I'm gonna take this down so I can be maybe seen a little bit. But no, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's crazy. You win 60 games and everybody's still doubting you through the playoffs. Like, you lose 3 playoff games and everybody was still doubting the opportunity. Now, don't get me wrong, I did say if it goes 7, it's going to be a Maverick series. But if it goes 7, it's literally a 50-50 shot at that point in time. I just want to, But beyond that, the Celtics, there's no reason the Celtics wouldn't have been the champions. It made no sense for people to be betting against them. So, I mean, I'm always a fan of anybody who wants to knock off the Lakers from a top spot in anything in the NBA. So, breaking that tie, giving them the 18, giving them one extra championship over the Lakers, I'm fine with. I don't, it doesn't bother me at all. I've been burned too many times by the Lakers as it is. So, what they did in the championship was insane. I mean, Jaylen Brown stepping up the way he did, Jason Tatum playing well. It's pick a guy on the team, they played well in these playoffs for the most part.
Absolutely. I think Drew Holiday, too, kind of punched his ticket as, hey, guys, I'm a winning player. 2 titles in 3 years on 2 different teams as well. Derek White shaves the head and turns into an all-NBA caliber player. And Kristaps Porzingis gets hurt yet again, comes back for Game 5, and now it looks like there's a chance he might miss the start of the year, too, with a surgery. So it's absolutely wild run. They can't seem to catch a break. I kind of want to curious what your guys' thoughts are with Joe Mazzulla as well. He walks into a very weird situation as the head coach of that team after Ime Udoka's, for lack of a better words. And then he ends up as the head coach of the team after a finals run, gets to an Eastern Conference Finals, and then wins the finals of his second year, was almost on the hot seat, it felt like, if he wouldn't have wanted to. It's kind of curious. I'll let you go first, TJ. Has Mazzulla kind of established himself almost as an upper echelon coach, or is it almost right place, right time?
As long as he don't pull that Doc Rivers, which is let me win the title with a stacked team with 2 or 3 Hall of Famers, then I'm going to get all these other jobs. But yeah. I think Mazzulla, he don't establish himself, but as long as this don't be a repeat of Doc Rivers winning the championship in 08 with Paul Pierce down, if he repeat next year with the Celtics, he established. But if he pulled the Doc Rivers with Boston, he just won this ring his first or second year. Well, no, actually this is his first year, right, with Boston.
Mazzulla's second, yeah, but Doc won in his first year, yeah.
Yeah, first or second year, then he gonna be another Doc Rivers to me. That's just my opinion.
I hope not. God, I have enough not nice things to say about Doc Rivers as a coach. Nothing against the guy, won championships. I'm not going to take that away from him. But nowadays, the dude's not a coach at this point in time. It's just like, I'm here. I'm going to ride my name recognition. I'm going to ruin perfectly good teams like what he did with what you're seeing with the Bucks right now, for example. I mean, it's embarrassing. Like, I hope Joe Mazzulla has it figured out. But then again, you know what they say about guys that come from schools that aren't necessarily super high level college teams. They usually do pretty good in the pros as far as coaching goes. The winningest pro winningest coach in the pro level didn't play above D2 basketball. So kind of wild to think that's, the best coach is not necessarily coming from a blue blood, if you will, for school. So yeah, Joe Mazzulla, West Virginia guy. I think it'll be fine. Just don't turn it to Doc. That's all I ask.
Since we're all on the same page there, I think we talked enough about coaching too, to where we can transition to the big hire. And JJ Redick, star podcaster who was in our role with just a little bit better credentials about a week and a half ago, is now heading to the Lakers in LA to coach the Lakers. LeBron, Anthony Davis. I guess it should be more surprise, but it doesn't even feel like it's a surprise anymore. It almost feels like it was just destined to happen after Mind the Game came out. So Kelcey, go ahead and lead the way on this one as the designated Lakers not fan. How are we feeling,
hater.
sir?
You can say it. I'm a Laker hater. I am okay with that. I will wear it proudly. I've never liked the Lakers. I never will. Kobe was the bane of my existence. Respect him. Love him, RIP. But, it's I will never say I liked him during his playing career. That is for sure. This is wild, man. Dude hasn't coached a single bit of professional basketball in his life. He maybe coached 2K, but he has not coached a single game of professional or collegiate basketball his entire career. He just got out of the game 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Was barely out of the league. I mean, and it came out firing on some coaches after he got out of the league. That's to say the least. Yes, he has a great basketball mind. Yes, I do appreciate him as an analyst. But as a head coach of the Lakers, I'm going to say the same thing I said about Darvin Ham. This is too big of a job for this type of a new type of a coach. Darvin Ham had no chance when he's coming in for LeBron. JJ has no chance when he's coming in to coach LeBron. The only people that can handle a LeBron are retired or they're coaching in Miami right now. There is not a single other coach on that in the NBA, in the association, that I trust to be able to handle LeBron. And that's just what it is. It's nothing against LeBron, but LeBron is the best mind of basketball playing, and there's not very many better coaching minds that are out there right now. And I mean, I'll be honest about it. So, yeah, this is wild. But you know what? Again, anything to knock the Lakers off, I'm okay with at the end of the day.
I will say there's a man in San Antonio who would probably like to add his name to that list as well, too, along with it.
He's just never going to leave San Antonio. That's the biggest thing. He doesn't coach a LeBron because he doesn't. LeBron won't go to San Antonio is one. Two, Pop's not leaving San Antonio. So fix that. There's no way to fix that.
You never know. Maybe he goes to join that 7'5" alien who's about to take the league over as well. You never know. He can opt out. I'm just saying anything could happen. I wouldn't bet on it, but anything could happen.
No way. I can't do that.
TJ, I kind of want to get your thoughts on it too. What do we think now? JJ Redick heading the Los Angeles, podcaster turned NBA head coach, worth almost $100 million now after being a $100 million player. How do we feel about this?
Who really gonna act like they didn't see this comment when him and LeBron started doing podcasts together? And the Darvin Ham situation, I think they did Darvin Ham dirty. I think he should have not been fired because with the team that the Lakers had, the fact that they even made it to the playoffs, and then his first and second year, they went to the Western Conference Finals with that team. He should not have been fired. But as Kelcey said, is LA, just like Boston, them big market teams. Small market team coaches have a little more leeway. Big market teams like LA and Boston, you only got like 2 or 3 years if you get 2. So with this JJ Redick situation, and because LeBron already now signed an extension with the Lakers, we can say he's not going to no team where his son gets drafted to. So let's just stop that rumor. But with the JJ Redick situation, I don't see him winning nothing. Like, come on, LeBron almost 40, 50 years old. Anthony Davis injury prone. The rest of the team gonna be whoever the cheapest option. So the Lakers team, I think for this decade, they're not winning no more championships. So the JJ Redick hire, that's just for, you know how LA do. They want to hype it up. Oh, that's LeBron boy. You know, they do podcasts together. But come on now. JJ Redick not going to win anything with the Lakers. It's just something for the media to hype up. in my opinion.
Here's a fun question for both you too. Who lasts longer in LA, LeBron or JJ? Who leaves first?
By choice is the
Choice or no choice, escorted out or walks out on their own. Either way.
I'm gonna say JJ lasts longer, and this is gonna sound wild, right? But I think LeBron might just walk out the door after year one. I think what he's trying to do is we're gonna see LeBron of 4 years ago next year. We're gonna see that LeBron, the guy who shut down one of the best teams to ever play the game and win a championship, the guy that led his team through the bubble to win a championship. Yes, say what you will about the bubble series, but you know what? It is still a championship at the end of the day. And we're going to see that LeBron, that dominant LeBron, more so than we have in the last, I don't know,
since
3
the bubble,
years,
really?
I think it's safe to say. Yeah, since the bubble. I mean, really, even that was still kind of hit or miss. But, I think we're going to see a LeBron that wants to win a title, no matter who's on that team. I think he's going to be – JJ might win something this year, but it's not going to be because JJ coached this team to a championship. It's going to be because LeBron said, don't worry, coach, I got you. And AD was healthy, and Austin Reeves is knocking down, 40% from three. That's going to be how this team wins if they're going to win. And so, I'm going to say JJ lasts longer because he gets a second year. He gets a second bite at the apple, but he's not going to get a second bite at the apple with LeBron is my biggest thing.
In my opinion, I can see them both walking out at the same time. I see him, Genie Buzz, Rob Pelinka, all the AD leaving at all at one time. I give it 2 years. I give it, like Kelcey said, I'm gonna give JJ a second year, but all of them leaving at one time. In my opinion.
Just imagine that 2 years, top 2-3 players go, head coach goes, GM goes, owner goes. They just completely clear house altogether. They flip everything right on its head. So, that's going to be very interesting. But we're talking big market team.
If they can't hit shots this year, I expect JJ to step off the bench and be a player coach again, like Jerry West style, and just be like, all right, guys, don't worry. I'm coming in to knock down those corner threes that none of you want to shoot. I got you. I'm calling it now. We're going to see JJ Redick suit up at one point in time, but by injury or because his team ain't shooting well. Because he can still shoot. The guy can still shoot. There's no doubt about it. So, but
calls an after timeout play and then he immediately rips off his suit right into a jersey that he already had pre-made and ready to go. Tries to Superman his way right onto the court. But we've talked big market team. I guess there's one other big market team to mention. We got the Knicks, but this time it's not just because they're the big market. It's because they made the biggest splash in the NBA today. The Iron Man himself, Mikal Bridges, going just kind of across the street from the New Jersey Nets to New York Knicks for 4 first-round picks, I believe, plus a couple conditional ones. So we got Mikal Bridges reuniting with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, 2016 Villanova Knicks at this point, all joined back up again. So, guys, how do we feel that Brunson gets a running mate with Mikal Bridges, and if Julius Randle comes back healthy, maybe we got a little something going on for New York. So just kind of curious. We'll let you go first, TJ. Does this make the Knicks even bigger contenders? Where do we think of the Knicks now after this trade?
I think it's cute. We talking about New York. You know how with the Knicks especially. I guess they trying to pull the Villanova 4 horsemen. Let's see this thing with Thibodeau he can coach, especially a defensive team. This team, the way they constructed, it's gonna be cute. They might make it second round, might make it Eastern Conference, but they're not winning no ring. They're not going to. I don't even see them make it to the finals. It's cute, it's something for New York to get hype about. Yeah, they got Villanova, as they call them, the 4 horsemen. It's cute, but in my opinion, they're not going to do anything. Now, Thibodeau, either he gonna retire or he can still coach. But that team is cute. That's all I'm gonna say. It's cute.
I gotta say, one thing I'm looking forward to is the complete clash of opposites. Does the Iron Man Mikal Bridges, who hasn't missed a game, hold through, or does Tom Thibodeau run another one into the ground like he's done with so many players too? I want to see which one of those two has to give. I'm curious, the immovable object or the unstoppable force. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun to see who cracks first.
Yeah,
Mikal Bridges ain't never missed a game.
Never missed a game. In fact, he played 83 games the year he was traded because he then got traded and played the next day.
Yeah, flew from Phoenix to New Jersey just to play again. Wild.
The ultimate Iron Man.
No, I will say, we're watching something in history with Mikal Bridges with the Iron Man thing. It's Cal Ripken-esque. But But there's a but here, and I'm not going to blame the players for this one. At the end of the day, I might blame Julius Randle, but that's a different conversation. But I think this team is going to be good. They're going to be one of the top 3 in the East.
Mm-hmm.
But Thibodeau is not necessarily a coach that gets you to a championship. I think TJ is exactly right. This team has Eastern Conference Finals written all over it. Like, at the end of the day, this team is, I'd say, the top 2 teams on paper for young stars right now. I mean, maybe top 1, but it's hard to argue against Giannis or that whole Bucks squad. So, or anything for the Celtics. So, it's a great team. We're going to see probably a resurgence of the Knicks-Celtics rivalry. But it's still not going to be a team that wins a championship at the end of the day. And I think you're right, DJ. I think it's because Thibodeau runs somebody else into the ground, because while he's a great defensive coach, his teams suck offensively. Like, it is very much, all right, go play like you do on a playground, which is fine half the time, but in a playoff series, that doesn't necessarily get you wins.
Superstar ball handler save us is not an offensive scheme.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hoping Jalen saves you. Back in the day, Derrick Rose saving you. I mean, Ricky Rubio when he was playing for Tibbs, like, that wasn't even that good. So, at the end of the day, it's a situation where Tibbs is a great coach for 82 games. After those 82 games, he's good for 2 out of the 3, 4 wins you need. He's not going to be giving you 4 wins every series, though. And so it's tough for the Knicks, but I think Knicks fans are going to be excited. We're all going to hate them after the end of this season, because they're going to be back to yelling about how great they are and how wonderful that is for the rest of our years. But no, I think at the end of the day, it's a great team. It's a great move by the Knicks. Good for Mikal Bridges to get away from being just literally the only bright spot in Brooklyn. But it's a great team, just not going to be good enough.
Not at all. Interesting enough with the Brooklyn Nets too is not only did they make that trade to load up on picks, they also traded with the Rockets to get more picks, and then signed Claxton to a $100 million deal. So not sure if they're trying to OKC it, or I'm not quite sure what's going on here. If they just want to have every draft pick for the next handful of years and see if they can build that way, but I'm not really sure what's going on in Brooklyn. I guess they finally, it's crazy. 2 years ago, they had what people were calling the best duo in the NBA with Kyrie and Kevin Durant plus James Harden, and now look where it's at as well. It's amazing how it comes crashing down. And Kevin Durant, they traded to where he wanted to go. James Harden, they traded him where he wanted to go. Mikal Bridges, they traded him where he wanted to go. Kyrie, they said, "Nah, fam, you're going to Dallas." Kind of funny when you look at it.
Yeah, and they just Kyrie's having the time of his life in Dallas. Who would have thought?
And he had the time of his life up until about 2 weeks ago, maybe. But.
Yeah, that's fair. While Harden, on the other hand, has left his destination, and KD can't win a playoff series.
Yeah, or playoff.
KD can't never carry a team. I don't like that narrative of KD. They trying to act like he was carrying them OKC teams. Like, dude, you do know Russ was dropping 20 plus with you, right? Like, you wasn't KD was the mega star, but KD's is overrated to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. You take away them 2 Golden State Warriors teams, just like LeBron, just like how LeBron needs super teams, KD also needs super teams. So I guess it's cute though.
I think you're right. Like, you look behind me, you see superhero stuff, right? So for me, KD is a Batman, and if you wonder what I'm talking about, yes, he's a superhero, but he always needs a sidekick. He always needs a Robin. He needs a Nightwing. He needs those guys to succeed. Batman needs those guys. KD needs those guys. It's just what it is at the end of the day. KD needs somebody who's a ball handler. He's not. They did a series back when his shoes released, the KD 4s released, about KD is not nice. That was the theme for his shoes that year. And the whole purpose of it was to be like, oh, he has a killer instinct. He's great. He doesn't. And that's okay, because he's a great scorer, very much like Carmelo in a lot of ways in his ability to score. But he is also too much like Carmelo in the fact that defense doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot to the guy. Passing the ball doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot to the guy. But scoring, winning, that means a lot, but he needs somebody to handle the ball, to distribute it properly, to make the right decisions at key times to get you over the hump. But yeah, KD's never going to be that guy, and that's okay. He's going to be one of the greatest scorers we ever saw, but he's not going to be that guy.
That's perfectly fair. And you know what? This is complete sidetrack. This was not planned, but I just thought about what we're talking about right now. I saw a post on one of the social accounts too. It has all these hypothetical teams with an addition. So I'm gonna list them off. We're gonna pick which one we take. We're gonna do that 2012 Thunder team, the one with Russ, Harden, Kevin Durant, but you add prime Shaq on it. The 2013 Heat, but you add prime Nikola Jokic on it. The 2016 Warriors, but you add Joel Embiid. Of those three teams, which ones are we taking?
I'm taking that OKC team because every time they miss, Shaq gonna be right there. That team scoring 100 on every. That what you say? Jokic on Miami.
Yeah, Jokic on the 13 Heat, and then Joel on the 2016 Warriors.
That team would work because the Heat. That's too many ball. That's too many ball handlers. And the 2016, you said who? Embiid.
Embiid heading to the 73-9 Warriors.
Embiid would have been thinking he really Curry, so nah. That's like that. Oh, OKC team. Because every time James, Russ, or KD miss Shaq, we talk about prime Shaq, right?
They have the picture of prime Shaq, so I'm gonna roll it. We're gonna say Lakers Shaq, so we'll say the best Shaq.
Yeah,
like MVP Shaq.
I'm taking OKC. Who you taking, Kelcey?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking the Embiid one is a close second, but it's honestly not that close. I'm a big Shaq fan. I think Shaq's one of the best players to ever play the game, best centers to ever play the game, and so I'm obviously a big fan of the Big Diesel. But put him on that team, man. That's and I would put a caveat that make sure James Harden actually plays quality minutes and not what they did in the last playoff series where he played an average of 12 minutes. No, I need him playing 20 to 25 off the bench, not that 12-minute stuff. But yeah, otherwise I'd take that Shaq Thunder team. That's crazy. That would be an insane lineup.
I'm in agreement, but I'm going to
sit on their team.
And Serge Ibaka. I'm going to be devil's advocate here just so we don't all pick the same. That was also the 2012 Thunder, so it was before Russell Westbrook could become MVP, before Kevin was MVP, before James was MVP. They were all children.
That's a perfect one of them.
So I'm gonna agree, but for devil's advocate, I'm gonna look at the 2013 Heat as a very underratedly good team with Jokic, the ability to pass the ball, and they already played a 5-out with Chris Bosh playing center and spreading the ball out, opening lanes. Now you got Nikola Jokic's ability to throw 27-yard pen missiles between double coverage on a backdoor cutting Dwayne Wade. 2013 should have been Defensive Player of the Year and MVP LeBron. I think the ability to move the ball with that team, and you saw Mario Chalmers, guys like that hit the corner threes. Ray Allen was on that team too. So that spacing is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And that's LeBron, who could run, dunk, fly, play defense, and was shooting 40% from three and 80% from the free throw line. 22 to 25 points per game. Dwayne Wade, who would give you 40 in the playoffs randomly. And Chris Bosh, who had basically mastered that role as the 5-out center, who would now get to play as natural power forward. You have 2 7-footers. The spacing, that team is underratedly good. I don't know if I'd take them if they went head-to-head with 2012 Thunder. That's a tough matchup, but I think that 2013 Heat team is surprisingly underratedly good. I think the ability they can look like the 2014 Spurs, but with superstars. The way that ball can absolutely fly across the court.
I like it, but I will say, I think in today's game, we kind of run into the same problem that the Timberwolves are facing or faced last year, where they're a great team. They look fantastic, but at the end of the day, their primary 2 ball handlers in that lineup with Jokic down there, those guys are slashers. So if you look at the Timberwolves, there's too many big guys in the paint. Now, while Jokic does spread out the floor, he still has to start down low, and especially in the 2013 game, his game maybe doesn't translate as well. Whereas Shaq's game pretty well translates across the board up until about 2015, 2016, where you had Curry and the Warriors, which is also why I think the Warriors might be close, because Embiid's a pretty good shooter at the end of the day.
You try and make it the splash triple, too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think I still feel like Thunder's better, but I get why you want to say the Heat with Jokic, because it does make sense on paper. I just think, and then again, Spoelstra's coaching that team, so I'm okay with it.
And that's a whole lot of spacing for LeBron and Dwayne Wade to slash, because as soon as you come in, that's 40% Chris Bosh from 3. That's Ray Allen, at the time the best shooter of all time, arguably, Nikola Jokic. And that was the year LeBron actually shooting like 41% from 3. So he was able to space the floor too. And Dwayne Wade, we've seen what he does off the ball during that team. Now you got some Jokic, who might be the second best passer in the recent memory, along with LeBron. Like, just I think it'd just be fun to watch and nothing else. Like those darts across
Oh, yeah.
court, those full court alley-oops now with Jokic throwing the outlets too. If nothing else, it's gonna be prime time. But the one I'm not as concerned with is the 2016 Warriors because I feel like when Joel Embiid gets the ball, he's a 7'2" two guard sometimes. He gets the ball and starts putting on dribble moves at the damn elbow, and the ball doesn't move. Which I think with the Warriors, what made them so good that year was that ball with Draymond, all of them was kept passed around. So, you know what? I think if only we could somehow make this happen. 2K needs to do something like, well, not 2K, but they need to find a way to do it one way or the other. So, just want to throw that one out there. I thought that'd be pretty fun. But before we move on to the NFL, I want to check in.
Today, though, real fast, just the game today would have been completely different if Jokic had played for that Heat team. Could you imagine everything they tell you not to do in basketball with a skip pass along the baseline? How many times we'd see a skip pass along the baseline from side to side of the court, or no cross court pass? Okay, well, Jokic just threw the 7th cross court pass of that exact possession. Like, would the game today, like how Curry's changed the game? If that team existed with Jokic, I couldn't even see where we're at today. We'd probably have another white chocolate type of thing, or the Sham God type of situation with all the passing. Like, it would be the silliest looking thing in the world compared to what we see today, which is still in its own right pretty crazy to watch. But yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking of the passing game now. Like, it would be an insane game of like Connect 4 type of thing.
Ball movement would be unparalleled. But before we jump off of basketball, I just want to check in. Was there anything else in basketball we want to touch base on before we head over to the NFL?
Malcolm Brogdon to the Wizards.
Poor Malcolm Brogdon.
Figured I'd throw that one out there, considering we have all the other NBA news.
Yeah, that's a rough one for him. But next, we'll go and chat a little bit about the NFL. And TJ, I just want to check in. What is your favorite team? Is it the Browns? Do I see a Cleveland sweatshirt right there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're right on top of. So,
what
do we think about some of these moves now? I mean, bringing in Jerry Jeudy, kind of running back the whole squad for the most part, bringing Jerry Jeudy, pretty good offseason as well, too. On paper, that team looks absolutely jacked. How you feeling about the team moving forward this year?
We being the longtime Browns fans and all them losing seasons. If everybody can remain healthy, I think we can make the Super Bowl. I'm trying not to be naive. The only problem I see happening is either Deshaun Watson go pull that injury bull like he did last season, Myles Garrett go get injured, which is because the Browns had one of the top defenses last year because the offense was horrible. So I think that the players that we drafted and the talent that's coming back on both sides of the ball, I believe we can make a run for a Super Bowl. I just think when it comes to it depends on how is the Browns about to become a passing offense or we go back to running. Is Nick Chubb injured?
He's supposed to be coming back, hopefully, maybe not right away, but I think he's on the right track, is what they're saying.
Week 3 is projected.
Okay, we going to become an offense like, let me just throw a team out there. Peyton Manning. The Peyton Manning Colts, they was pass, run, pass. Are we going to become a team like that or we going to become a smash mouth team, just running the ball like old school football, just running nonstop? It all depends how the offense is going to be, how Stefanski is going to shape the offense. Defense, I'm not too worried about defense. We going to be, I think once we get our linebacker core up, because I think that's the only part where the Browns are slacking is the linebackers. So the DBs, we good. D-line, we always, with Myles Garrett and any other player they put with them, we going to be good. But offensive line, I think we good. Wide receivers, it all just comes down to how they going to run the offense. Like, it's going to be pass and shoot, smash mouth, West Coast. Like, it all depends on how it's gonna be 4 out. You know how offensive. So basically, I'm just worried about how Stefanski and the offensive coordinator how they're going to do the offense. Other than that, Browns going to the Super Bowl with the roster we got.
Do you think it's with Watson at quarterback, or do we see Winston coming at quarterback instead?
Don't put that curse on him.
You're wrong either way.
I think Jamie can come in and when if Watson go down, it depends on when. If Watson stays healthy, we're going to the Super Bowl, at least a championship. I'm trying to remain not naive. If Watson get injured, let's say at the trade deadline or later in the season, I still believe we can make it to the Super Bowl or the AFC conference championship game, but. Damien, I think he can come in and fill in for Watson if he don't throw 20 interceptions,
Well, he can
Yeah,
see now.
that's all I'm
So hopefully he sees the right color.
He did get eye.
Yeah,
He
he
did get
got-
eye
what
surgery.
he-
So
Yeah.
So no,
What y'all
I-
think? How y'all think about this?
I know a bunch of my coworkers would be happy if the Browns won the Super Bowl. I think my whole entire office would be happy about that. Being adjacent to Cleveland, pretty much everybody out there would be pretty excited. Not me. I would hate that because that means they probably beat the Cowboys in Week 1. So, not that I'm expecting anything different. I fully expect a Cowboys loss there. But no, it's funny with the Browns because you don't know what they're going to do. Stefanski has always been. He worked well with Baker, but it's because Baker was great on a play action type of offense. And when you saw Baker try to have to make different plays and being injured and not really given an opportunity, that obviously didn't work. Watson, the offense didn't really work well before the injury. And then you have Flacco, who came in and worked perfectly off that play action passing style for Stefanski. So if Stefanski, I think TJ's right. If Stefanski can make this offense work for Watson, which is more of a pass and shoot type of offense, a run and shoot type of offense, the high pace, 3-4 wide type of situation, despite having David Njoku, one of the best tight ends out there, you got to make that work in a way that works for your quarterback and not leave him out to dry, which is what ends up happening a lot with the play action offense. Is you kind of leave your quarterback out to dry and take a bunch of unnecessary hits, which is how you saw Baker get hurt, which is how you saw Watson get hurt. And then, obviously Nick Chubb, if he comes back healthy, whatever they do in the running game, other than that is important. But yeah, I think, you still don't necessarily predicate it off of play action like you had been, but you got to kind of get a good combination for what you want to do as a head coach, as an offensive play caller, but also what your quarterback's good at. Because the best Watson we've ever seen has not been a play action Watson. That was never good Deshaun, ever. But yeah, I think that's a situation where you got to figure that out. I think you're exactly right about the defense, though. I mean, I don't care who your defensive tackles are. It doesn't bother me. You have one of the best defensive ends out there. Fantastic. The linebacking core, I think underrated. I think they're really good, and they're just underrated by a lot of people. I think they have a lot of range and a lot of tackling ability, and that's, at the end of the day, important. But it could be better. I mean, there's no lie. The Browns linebacking core could be better. Safeties, DBs, all right, yeah. There's an all-pro out there, at least one. Probably some second-team type of offers out there. But yeah, receiving core, you're great. You're fine. But you just got to figure out that offensive play calling. Like, what do you want to do? Don't be mixed minds like you were last year.
I'll say, too, when I look at it, obviously defense, they say the old adage is defense travels. The Browns were the biggest anomaly of that in NFL history, being the number 1 rated home defense and the number 32 rated away defense. Makes absolutely no sense. Like, they were unbelievable at home, but then as soon as they went on the road, they gave up 40. It's absolutely insane. So if they can get the defense to travel, I think they'll be in great shape. On paper, if they stay healthy, I think it's 12, 13 win caliber team. That team is loaded top to bottom. My question is, same with you guys, how does the offense finally gel? Because Watson, as we mentioned, a spread quarterback who also, he's a big play quarterback. He holds the ball for better and for worse. The ball does not come out quickly. He waits for that extra read, that extra window. He uses his legs. He's 0 to 100, basically. That's his game. It's 0 or 100. And we saw too much of the zero so far since he's come to Cleveland, since the offense has been a lot of on time, bam, 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 play action, hit them in the spot. So I think they need to find a way to mix that a little bit better to keep the offense going so Myles Garrett can go kill quarterbacks. So that way it's not 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, one play touchdown, 3 and out, 3 and out. So I think if they could smooth that over, they'll be fine. I think they're going to have to lean more towards the pass with Nick Chubb coming off the injury too. And if he's even back right away and if he's not. So I like them to spread it out, pass a little bit more. That's where I'm also a little bit worried is Amari Cooper is awesome. Jerry Jeudy's, we'll see. We haven't seen enough of him to really know so far. Elijah Moore's fun. David Njoku's incredible. The offensive line's good. I just kind of want to see how they all mesh together. Because it does feel like one of those situations where the pieces are all good, but how do they fit together? I don't know. It feels like a weird jigsaw puzzle. But the talent's there. I also like Jameis Winston if he does have to come in, because I think he can run that play action under center, get the ball at that. But I think if he has to, if they go to that, just styles make offenses sometimes. Not saying he's better, but he can see now. And when he couldn't see, he was still able to throw 30 touchdowns at 5,000 yards, just bombing it away blindly in Bruce Arians' offense. So I'm curious. I think on talent, they are loaded. But then again, they got to stay healthy and everything has to click. I still have questions. Deshaun's given you 15 games since he got traded in 3 years, something like that. Like you can't, if that's what you're relying on, that's not great necessarily. And he
That's
has
too much money for that.
like, that's where I'm a little bit concerned. Yeah. Like the biggest cap hit in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, this upcoming year.
Yeah.
So I think if that can click, that's a 13-win team pretty easily. If that can click, or if they can just run the same offense they did last year, but he stays healthy the whole way, because he could game manage like he did in the first 5 or so games where it was ugly, but they still won. So
Yeah. Also, don't sleep on Isaiah Ford at running back. I know now he's going to be the number 2, I believe, in full-time capacity as a number 2, probably the number 1 until Chubb is healthy. But man, that dude can bust one off for a touchdown real quick. I mean, I shouldn't say for a touchdown. He can at least give you 30, 40 yards before he gets caught, because he gets to second gear and there's no third gear on that engine. It's just second gear and then he stops. But he's still a great running back. Still of a draft that 3 years ago that they got him. So I mean, I think he's a great player. He'll fill in great for Nick Chubb, and that offense, if they can figure out how to balance it, that's the biggest part of that offense.
I think Deshaun's legs being involved in like the quarterback run game, especially in the red zone. We saw it in like week 1 against the Bengals when he ran for that touchdown, but after that it was mitigated because those injuries started piling up quickly. So if they could find a way to integrate that without Deshaun snapping in half, I think that could be something that helps him a lot as well. Since we did great in Houston and at Clemson too. So we've kind of talked a little about Cleveland, but TJ, I want to check in with you. Who's one team right now you're looking at that you think is going to surprise some people? Like maybe a team that was bad last year is like, oh damn, that team might surprise some people, like we saw Houston do last year, Jacksonville do a couple of years ago. Just that team that comes out of nowhere and surprises everyone.
I don't want to say the Bengals because that's gonna sound cliche because I'm in Ohio. So let me pick a different team. It's let's say the Cardinals. I'm gonna pick the Cardinals. Is the Cardinals going to get back to playoff contention with what's his name, Kyler Murray? Because I feel like the past 3-4 years, Kyler Murray it's like he was going up, and now he mid going. Like, what is Kyler Murray like? Is he still that franchise quarterback to say for the Cardinals, or is he just another quarterback in the league? So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals. Because I feel like 5-6 years ago, they was, D team. They was saying Super Bowl for them. But now it feels as if they're just a mid-tier or I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I don't know if Kyler Murray, I want to see Kyler Murray go back to that undefeated quarterback that he was. Now I feel like he's just another quarterback in the league. Like, you haven't heard much of the Cardinals. I mean, yeah, they probably get a few buzz here and there, but I want the Cardinals to go back to being that, because Cardinals for a long time, like the Browns, was a bad franchise, But yeah, the Cardinals, I'm gonna pick that team as the surprise team for me.
Yeah, absolutely, that's a good one.
New jerseys, so look, you get new jerseys in a season. It seems to be your team has a pretty good shot at the playoffs. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Detroit last year being a perfect example.
Exactly. I mean, healthy Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like they got some players out there now. So Kelcey, we're looking at you. What's a quote unquote bad team or a team that underperformed last year you think could take that next step and bounce back and have a good year?
God, I hate every team. All right, let's throw one out there that's kind of wild. Maybe I don't know. I mean, Jaguars feel too easy, right? It feels like the easy team to pick. So I'm not going to do that.
They were 9-6, so
a little bit more fun. Yeah, I know. At the end of the day, still not a great. For how much Trevor Lawrence just got paid. Come on, 9-6. That you got to be better than that. I'm gonna say the Raiders. Antonio Pierce and the Raiders team. After last year, they're gonna make somebody afraid of them, if you will, in the AFC West. They have won one game against the Chiefs every year for the last 3 seasons. That's wild. And that team has no ability, should not have any ability to win a game against the Chiefs in the last 3 years. Maybe 4, actually. But yeah, like this team, I don't know. I think Antonio Pierce, what he does well, which is, we've talked about this before on the show, is being a Joes and Schmoes type of coach. The difference is he has a little bit more ability with the X's and O's than a lot of the other coaches I talk about in that realm. And Joes and Schmoes coaches get the best out of their players. Gardner Minshew will be the best quarterback for an Antonio Pierce coach team. He just literally fits Antonio Pierce except for on the offensive end. Just take what he did as a linebacker and move him over. It's a hard-nosed team. There are question marks, but I think Devontae Adams being number one on that question mark, will he have a resurgence? If he does, there is no reason to expect this team not to be good, because who can really match up with Devontae in a telephone box? There's not a whole lot of teams that have a corner that can go sit out there and try to guard him one-on-one. His separation ability is second to none. Maybe Keenan Allen is the second closest, who's still probably lost a step after, actually, but still is fantastic. So Devontae, I think, is a big reason why this team's going to be good. But then you add in, there's a few different options there at tight end. You have Mayer. You also added Hunter, Harrison Bryant. The rest of your receiving core is good. Antonio Pierce took over. You filled in linebackers, filled in secondary. That was a much-needed position. And the way they played down the stretch, if they can turn that around with all the talent they have now, I don't see a reason why they can't finish above 500.
It's very possible. That defense, that front five, especially going after the quarterbacks of Christian Wilkins, Tyree Wilson, if he can stay healthy, and Max Crosby is going to be ridiculous. So it's very possible.
I didn't even want to bring up Max Crosby because that's
not to cut nobody off. The Hawks selected, how you say his name? Zachary Richichet. I say his name.
Yeah, the guy from France, right? Yeah, like the 6'9" forward. Like that's, we'll see. It's still the Hawks nonetheless. Too. It's still the Hawks. I will wait and see with them for sure. It'll be very curious. I think if Trae Young's got to kind of get back to form from a couple of years ago too. Fewer threes, more floaters, and I think we'll see. We'll see what the Hawks can do for sure. But that's probably the safest pick for them at the top for sure. But
good player. That's the team I want to know.
Put Jabari in more. That's their answer.
Yeah, that's the pick. I think the last pick I'll make the surprise one. I think the Panthers are going to be underratedly better this year, mostly because you can't get much worse. And that division kind of stinks as it is too. They had bad offensive line play and bad receivers last year. They put $100 million in that offensive line with like 3 guards. They drafted some good players and they brought in a couple of receivers. Defensively, Derek Brown was second team All Pro, I believe, or second team All Conference. They got some players, but I think that division stinks. I mean, I know Atlanta brought in Kirk Cousins, but like that's still an 8-win team. Tampa Bay won the division with 8 wins last year. The Saints won 7 with all they're all pretty lackluster. So I think the Panthers have as good a shot as anybody to be decent. Look who you're competing against, really. Like you just have to be the prettiest pig with makeup at that point too. There's not a whole lot you're competing with out there. But we'll go and round out the NFL talk here with probably the inverse of that question. Every year there's a good team, a playoff team that takes a dump the next year and falls apart. Last year I'm looking at the Giants, the Vikings, teams like that. DJ, leading the way with you. Who's a playoff team last year that's gonna just take a dump this season, fall out of the playoffs completely?
Kelcey, I'm gonna let you go first. I gotta think about it.
Oh, this is too easy. Oh, too easy. Dallas Cowboys, number one. My own team, the Dallas Cowboys, are gonna screw this up somehow. They have all the talent in the world. You brought back Zeke for some reason. I don't know why. You didn't address anything in the offseason. You were a good playoff team last year. You were a team that should have done more. You get Trayvon Diggs back, but you still didn't do anything to help him. You have to hope he's going to come back and be good. You got rid of your number 2 corner there. Are you going to rely on the same type of flash in the pan corner that led the league in picks last year, especially in pick sixes? No, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, the Cowboys didn't do enough to try to figure out their team. So that's why I'm going to say the Cowboys are the biggest disappointment. And no surprise that me, as a self-hating Cowboys fan, picks the Cowboys to suck.
You know, you own it as well as anybody. But I'm going to go a little bit out on a limb here, and I'm going to go ahead and say that the Houston Texans might have a chance to take a little bit of a step back. I think you have CJ Stroud, you brought in Stephon Diggs. On paper, it looks wonderful. I still think they have a chance. It's just like the Jaguars was last year. They had a playoff run season, won a playoff game, brought in Calvin Ridley. We all thought they were ready to roll. They took the step back too. That division's really surprisingly good with Jacksonville, Indy, Houston, even Tennessee to a lesser degree. If Will Levis can put down the video phone and quit putting the mayonnaise in his coffee, I think they can make a little bit of noise too. So I think the AFC South's gonna be really good. So I can see Houston being a team that might take a little bit of a step back. Not a big one, but they can. I think they could possibly have, and they have a first place schedule as opposed to a last place schedule, and they're not surprising anybody this year. They're not going to sneak up on anyone. Everyone's looking them square in the eyes like, no, there's not this time. So, DJ, we'll let you go and wrap us up on here. Which NFL team do you think is potentially set up to take a dump next year after having a good season this last season?
I'm going to give it Green Bay. Now that I look, I have to remember the teams that made. I'm gonna give it Green Bay. I think that team was a fluke. I believe they was last year when they made it. I think they still in that post Aaron Rodgers era. They still in like kind of rebuild mode a little bit. So I'm gonna give it Green Bay.
That's a very fair one too. We've only seen a handful of games with Jordan Love. We don't know if it's sustainable or if it's a flash in the pan in a very shaky NFC, is what we'll say it was last year. Outside of San Francisco and Dallas, it was very shaky after that as well. So just wanted to check into with anyone if there's anything else we didn't talk about, if there's anything else we wanted to touch on, or if we're feeling pretty good about all those right now.
Oh yeah, the Rockets selected Reed Shepherd. So they didn't.
That's a smart pick.
That's a good pick. Yeah, good on the Rockets. I'm surprised they didn't trade the pick, honestly.
Yeah, but
yeah.
No, I mean, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out our all our social medias. Check out TJ over on Twitter. It's at Mr._TJ_Savage, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, TJ?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn and YouTube, TJ McKinley. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. TJ Savage.
Awesome. Yeah, this was great. We greatly appreciate you, TJ, hanging out with us, talk about a little bit what's going on in the world of sports. It's a pleasure to get to hang out with you, chat a little bit too. Get to finally talk to you face to face, just on Twitter as well. It was an absolute pleasure. And we thank all of you too for watching with us or listening on your favorite podcast places. And we will see you all again next week.